Herman today, who is a small business banker with NAB in the Hunter region. I've personally used Trent over the years for my business, and today we thought we would just do a bit of a video just in relation to different ways on what a business banker is, what they can do, how they can help you grow your business. So I guess, Trent, thank you for being here, and if you just want to maybe give a bit of a background on yourself and maybe what a business banker can do.
Thanks, Stacey. Yeah, look, a business banker is obviously an important role in the community. Look, at NAB, we obviously provide a whole range of services, being one of the four major banks. Find that we tailor things to suit whatever your business needs, both now and into the future. From the small business just starting up, just getting on its way, all the way up to the big corporates that we know the brands and have watched it grow and evolve over the years. So, business banker has many facets to it: business lending, home lending, obviously any sort of transactional needs that you might have, and anything to do with foreign exchange or any other sort of outside things. We have either myself or specialists behind me that can assist you.
Cool, awesome. And I know you've been at NAB for a bit, because I think you helped me back in the day when I first went out on my own 5.5 years ago. Right, yes. Just want to give everyone a bit of a background in your banking career.
Yeah, okay. I've had a very varied career. For me, I've been with the NAB for close to 9 years now. I've evolved from being a home lender up in Armidale many years ago. Nowadays, down here in the Hunter for quite a number of years in this role. I find a lot of the day-to-day transactions, interactions that I have with customers, things I enjoy most. Prior to NAB, I've been in sort of sales and customer service roles. I've been a mortgage broker in the past. Have done a lot of out and about sort of roles as well, business development. So I find that I get a lot of interest and enjoyment out of just meeting people, talking to people, and trying to understand what their needs are.
Yeah, and it's exciting. I was pretty excited. I had to get a business loan through you when I grew, and it's good to see. I mean, from your point, it's similar to us when we help people buy their businesses or their homes or whatever. And it'd be similar for you that you'd get excited to see businesses grow. Someone starting as a solopreneur, maybe moving to having to have office and a team and everything. So that would be something that would be pretty exciting.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess so I just mentioned the loan. I had a loan with you guys when our business grew a few years ago, and we do have a lot of growth at the moment, despite we've just kind of come out of the New South Wales lockdown, COVID, or just about. We're on the home stretch, hopefully. Do you want to walk us through maybe for those people that are going through a growth? Maybe just how to best prepare for a loan application. So people might be looking to grow, or you mentioned maybe purchasing. So just in relation to that loan application, how can people make that easier for you guys to process, and maybe quicker as well? Yeah,
it's obviously each loan and each situation is different, but at the same time, just being able to prepare yourself, I guess, getting your financials up to date. Know where you stand with your business is probably the key thing, and obviously what you're trying to achieve as well. For me, financials, it's just having either your profit and loss in your balance sheet, even if it's management figures, just having a rough idea of where you are placed with your business, having knowledge about your assets, your liabilities, your income, and your expenditure are really the things which really help from a lending perspective. On top of that, it's also handy to have just some extra details about what you're trying to do, if there's timeframes involved, and anything else that you're looking to do at the same time. Quite often it's simple things that we can do multiple things all at once, and it might save you the opportunity of, having to come back and do things a number of times, but it will be done one go, and it's simpler for everyone.
Yeah, and what sort of documents? I can't quite remember what I had to have. It was probably maybe tax returns. There would have been a guarantor involved. Is there with a company? Do you want to just let people know if they are looking at getting a loan? What's those main type of documents that you guys are looking for before you can start processing a loan?
Yeah, definitely tax returns, your financials or your company tax returns, notice of assessment from the ATO is also handy to have.
And how many of years work do you need of that?
Normally
Pardon?
2 years. Normally
Two?
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Normally 2 years is all that we need. So, and yeah, just if not, we can always rely on things like cash flow forecasts. So for businesses that are starting up or going through a massive change, having a cash flow forecast, the templates you can download from either the NAB website or from any other website that just sort of forecast out your next 12 months. So painting a bit of a picture as to, instead of using historical figures, looking forward into the future, where you plan to be, and I guess a little bit of the rationale and the logic behind it all as well makes definitely that's help any application. A business plan, if you've got it for, especially for newer businesses, it's very handy to have, just so you can, it helps you operate your business better. It helps the lender understand what you're trying to achieve, and it gives you a bit of confidence and to kind of go, yes, we want to back these people, we want to make money for these people. So having that really does make a difference.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned business plan. I don't know whether I've got one. You can't, you do, but you don't. Like, you kind of have it on. Like, I've got bits and pieces screwed on bits of paper. I've got like a board that sits in front of me with various stuff on there. Yeah, the business plan, I guess, that's kind of like your goals and where you want to see. So it's good for accountability. So it's good that you said that, because I haven't heard that mentioned. Helping, you know, what can help a loan applications. That was really good to say. So obviously, like, we're kind of based in Hunter, got a lot of mining around here. So the loan application that you just spoke about, does that also go similar to equipment loans? What is, if we're looking at purchasing, like, you know, large scale equipment or even small scale equipment, is the process similar for that, or is it another kettle of fish that people need to navigate through?
Look, when it comes to equipment finance, it's generally fairly quick, simple lending. A lot of the time, there's very little information required personally. Most of the time, it's just a simple trying to just grab where your figures are roughly, what you're trying to purchase. If you're talking just, you know, corporate vehicles, or you're looking at doing some sort of capital expenditure to buy equipment, you know, I funded a lot of things in the past. That's, you know, things from CNC routers to, you know, to dozers to you know, trucks, trailers, all sorts of things. It's even Harley Davidson at one point. It's quite, yeah, it's very handy to have all the, it just, you know, I guess near up to date financial information and a tax invoice or a quote from the dealer or from the private seller. Yeah. Turnaround times for those are generally pretty quick. And you know, NAB is quite very competitive in that space when it comes to rates and.
So equipment finance, like asset finance, yeah.
Yes, asset finance, yeah. Asset finance, equipment finance, two very similar terms. We find that get used into same as like a goods mortgage or a chattel mortgage. Yeah. Basically, they're all the same thing. It's just different terminology, different ways of saying
security over the dough or whatever the equipment is, or it might be like a guarantor loan, or like there's different ways that can be structured too.
That's right, yeah. And most of the time, it's just simply a loan against a loan. It's a loan against the actual vehicle itself. Yeah. So we're not taking security over anything else. It just makes it simpler, easier. And at the end of the day, you can pay it out early at any time.
Yeah. And then the registration, the PPSR registration is wiped, and then it's
going to be sold to the next person to use it.
Awesome. Are there limits on how you can go to? So obviously, you know, I mentioned that we're in the Hunter Valley, but obviously surrounded by mining. You know, your dozers and your trucks and stuff can go for like millions of dollars. Is there a cap? You know, is there a cap that you guys can finance on, or it's pretty?
No, when it comes to NAB, we can finance anything. You know, we can finance things. We finance things like boats, planes, helicopters, all sorts of things that can be financed. And it's one of those things that we have specialised teams and specialists on the ground that can help in that regard, which makes it easier so that you know, whatever it is you're trying to purchase, that yes, as long as it fits inside our lending criteria, perfectly, we fund it, we move on, and it's done in a relatively quick manner.
Yeah, and the similar documents for equipment loans are similar to what we discussed. So, you know, a tax returns needed might depend on maybe the price limit. Might be talking a 10K loan, $10 million loan. The documents that you need from clients, is that generally similar across?
Generally similar,
as well?
Yeah, generally it's just the recent financials is all that we need, and maybe just electronic consent, which is something that's sent out and responded with a very simple couple-word response. So we try and keep it very simple in that space. most of the time it is used to obviously help the business grow as well. So as long as we can show it's affordable, bang, off we go. Get it organised, get the documents signed in front of you, and make the payment most of the time same day or next day once the documents are received back. So very, very quick process.
Yeah, awesome. So I know that when I got my loan a couple of years ago, it was super easy. I think it was probably providing the documents that you mentioned. I can't remember because that was like back in 2018, I think it was.
Yep.
It was super easy. So we were obviously right next door to NAB, so that was good, and live in town. She must cringe every time I walk in.
She's awesome. She's awesome.
Like really lovely. So it was just super easy. Paying it out was super easy. Got a payout figure, it was done. I was like, it was just gone. It was just all done. So that was all really, really easy. So there's nothing else that I can really think of. Is there anything else that you want to mention, maybe in relation to loans, or even so at the moment the market's obviously quite busy. We're coming up to that Christmas period as well. What are NAB's processing times? You said the equipment, the asset loans are usually pretty quick. What about other loans? There comes a point where I think most banks kind of shut up shop heading towards Christmas, and they won't process anything till the following year, just because we are coming up to that Christmas period. Just wanted to maybe walk us through processing times and when most people start pulling up stumps for approvals and things.
Okay, very good question, Stacey. Normally our processing times I guess outside of equipment loans normally turnaround times around the sort of 5 to 7 day mark. Most sort of lending these days outside of that is within a couple of weeks, sort of 10 to 12 days generally. Coming up to the Christmas period, generally all staff kind of at NAB, we work right up until Christmas Eve. Normally that couple of weeks after Christmas it is quieter, there's skeleton staff, but generally we try and get things done as quick as possible if we can. I guess my tip is, if you need something, the sooner you get it in, the more quicker you're going to get a result. So it's probably a good thing if you're thinking about doing something, if you're thinking about changing something, then jump on it, get it done, preferably prior to December, because December is generally a very, very busy period.
And having those documents that you need as well, I know that, my understanding, obviously I'm not on the finance side, I'm on the legal side, but if you submit something and it kind of gets like requisition, you got to submit something else that kind of puts you back in the pile again. So I think being prepared and having those documents that are required to get your loan and having them and not kind of like drip feeding them, that would also speed an application up, I would think. Definitely. Having things prepared in advance, or just reaching out to your local banker or your local branch and just asking, okay, what do I need to provide or who do I need to speak to? Get in front of someone or talk to someone early is always the simplest way of doing it. Basically we're always happy to go, this is our list of things that we need, and review it fairly quickly as well to kind of go, well, we're missing this, we need that. But I guess you take that, whatever list of documents required, just go through it, collate it, get it all together, get it back in one go. It just makes the whole process very, very simple to end. Yeah, and less stressful. And something else I just thought of as well, in relation probably to more the maybe it could be an individual as well, but I had business in my head. So we're obviously kind of past nearly halfway through the year. Tax returns. So you were mentioning like the last 2 lots of tax returns. Is like last year's tax return something that may have to be done before they can get a loan, or would you use the last 2 prior to that? Like, just so I know that we've had clients kind of get caught out with having to do like the current years or the prior year, however you work that out, like tax return before anything can kind of be processed. That would probably be beneficial to get like all your tax returns up to date, so you don't kind of think you're going to get money and then you start the process and then it's like, oh, well, you're going to get like last year's tax return done. And then you're delayed maybe like a couple of months by the time you account to get that together. Would you recommend, just that the tax side of things is obviously kept up to date as it can, so that doesn't interfere?
Definitely look, more recent statements are very handy to have. Generally, what we do is we will accept, like being 2021, we'll accept stuff from 2020 and 2019.
When's the cut-off for that?
Normally the end of December.
End of December, okay.
Yeah, so.
If you're doing the same calendar year, the prior financial year,
yes.
you're okay, but when it kind of hits that new calendar year in January, that's when you need your
2021s by that point. Look, a simple way around that is just having management figures. Your accounting software can pull that out fairly simply. Like at this point of year, you can kind of go, well, I can pull out three. So I've got 20s, or I've got 2021s, but I've got management figures and not an actual financially prepared ones from the accountant. So one other tip I guess I'd suggest as well when it comes to lending, and it's both a small thing and a big thing, is if you're looking to borrow money, it's probably better to try and avoid the tax minimisation style of things. So if you want to borrow money, you need to show that you're actually earning money and actually paying tax back. Whereas if you're trying to show a loss each and every year, it's a lot harder to borrow money for your business or for yourself personally, if that's what you're trying to do. So your accountant,
trying to keep your wage below a tax bracket, because you're going to pay less tax, so that's going to stuff you up.
It makes it harder to lend money to. So it's a game. Yeah, it's depending on what you're trying to achieve. If you don't want to borrow money anytime soon, then obviously tax minimisation strategy is not a bad idea for me, obviously with accountant advice. Outside of that, it's good to pay tax. I mean, you borrow more money to be able to buy more to grow your business. So that's
it was always like tax was bad, and back when I guess first started my career, I was like negative gear, and like that's awesome. You have to negative gear, and like that's kind of like how I grew up in. Just I suppose maybe that was that's my age. I don't know, I'm not that old, but kind of being more involved in the business side of things. It's like, okay, well, I'm paying tax, so that means I'm making money. So like that's cool. Like I'm cool with that. And there's times and places for tax minimisation strategy that has failed me. It's worked, but also it's delayed us in maybe being able to get a loan that we're after to buy a new house or do an investment or something. So there's pros and cons in doing that. You need to have, I mean, it's not like most people kind of plan that they might be building or buying or something's a bit more maybe spontaneous. So it's definitely, and maybe that's when the business planning comes in. It's like, all right, well, I'm in a growing out home. I know that we're going to have to do another house. So the tax minimisation has been awesome for the past couple of years, but the next couple of years, I need to start getting my wage back up to, to be able to do that loan side of things. So I suppose if there was someone doing that tax minimisation, and that's a great point, because it's easy to know what we know, but a lot of people might not have thought of that, or might not be it just doesn't come up in a conversation with them before. So if there was someone doing that tax minimisation, obviously earning a bit, but they've reduced their wage within their own business or whatever taxation purpose, how long, I suppose, what's the gap between going from minimisation strategy to paying yourself more? Obviously you're going to see someone's wage has gone from $100 to $1,000 in a week, like that might have age flags, but what's kind of like the time frame where you can see that someone was doing that minimisation strategy and now has increased their wage, and obviously you've got all your financial documents and stuff that you need? What would the frame be?
Time frame sort of thing. Generally, I guess it comes down to your conversation with your accountant each year when you do your tax returns. It's probably a good opportunity to do that. It's like next year the goal is I want to buy additional equipment, or the next year I want to reduce my tax because I'm not planning on doing anything. It's kind of a good time to do that. So when you do see figures which year to year fluctuate one way or another, if you've got 2 years tax returns or financials, and you can see it's a marked increase or marked change, as long as it's kind of explainable and understandable from a lending perspective, that's fine. That's no drama at all. It's just, I guess, being clear on what you've done, and your lender is your friend at the end of the day. They basically have the best interest to make sure you get something over the line. So if you provide the right information, just clear about what you're trying to do, it doesn't have to be war and peace, just something that's understandable, you're able to respond to questions in a timely manner. Generally, lending is fairly simple, straightforward, and fairly quick over time. So you just, one of those things we're all trying to improve and get better over time. It's just having the right information all together and an understanding helps the banker get there pretty quicker.
Yeah, and I suppose worst case scenario, it's like, okay, so we can't quite help you now, but give us 6 months, we can, or give it next financial year, and we can. What's NAB's take on, so if you're self-employed, and so you'd get a wage, it could be for tax minimisation or whatever, but there's a wage involved, and you get like your dividends or a distribution from your company like every quarter, and you might, that's usually done by form of like your wage increasing, like so that'll go on top of your wage. There's no, that's all fine. There's no drama with a lending perspective for that.
There's no issue with that. For that, if it's something that's kind of recurring or consistent in the way it's done, then definitely include it as additional income. When it's sort of, obviously when it's just added in right at the last minute, it kind of, well, it kind of comes across. I need a bit more information. So, it's one of those things I'd rather not say no to anything, but if you've got an understanding of what it is and it's for the right purpose and intention, then it definitely can be considered as part of additional income as well. If it's consistent, reliable, and ongoing, then it's considered income and definitely can be included in an application.
Yeah, cool, awesome. And like we'll put your details below as well, so if someone needs to reach out to you from the lending space or needs a business bank or wants to swap banks or whatever, that we'll do that. But that was really, really good. I think that would be really beneficial. We've got a lot of clients or just people that are watching that are self-employed. As I said, I never considered the tax minimisation thing. That's something that's personally hit me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. I'm like, oh, hang on a minute. Oh, that's not okay. So that was cool. It worked for a period of time. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not going to work anymore. Like, I want my house, my little 3-bedroom home's not cutting it anymore. Like, we're growing it. So, that was a really good point. It seems like common sense now. It was just something that obviously just wasn't processing through my head at the time. But having those conversations with your accountant, that's where they stem from, and you've got to have that really good relationship. Always say you've got to have your team, so I think when I got my loan, you guys spoke to my accountant, there was anything that was above my head or that I couldn't provide, or they could provide quicker, financial advisor, your banker, your broker, you've got to have that team, because I just find that everything just works so much more smoother when you have that team in place and they all speak to one another. And so that was awesome. Thanks for that. And guys, hope that was really helpful. See ya.